Well, here's a question.
Mhm.
Does, even though she's slow, does she do the activity well? Now, if she does the activity well, then slow is good for her, right? Rather than doing it fast and not doing it well. Now, if the person does it slow and not well,
Mhm.
um, they're obviously completely unfocused. It means their brain is somewhere else. Yeah, you know,
Mhm.
you, you, we all understand, right? You're trying to make a, you're putting tea in the coffee cup, or well, I don't know, whatever, right? You're just sort of, your brain is elsewhere, and we all have moments like that, but we can't afford them when we're working because work is
Mhm.
our duty and responsibility to others, um, not really to
Mhm.
ourselves. So we have to, because if we fuck up, excuse my language, if we fuck up at work, that's a problem for other people, right? If you fuck up at home, right? If you spill or make a mess at home, it's your home, okay? So you make a mess, so you clean it up. That's life. But if you mess up at work, well, that's everybody. Everybody else has to clean up that as well, and
Mhm.
and that's a problem. And of course, people are not perfect, and they will make mistakes. But we have to realize the responsibilities involved. You can't have, you can nurture people to be better, but I don't think you can have serious mistakes without serious consequences.
Mhm.
And if you look at the higher level businesses, they're actually dealing with, serious elements. Like when you build a car, every part has to be perfect because if it's not, somebody dies,
Mhm.
right? Or some other similar kind of tragedy. And Porsche had to take back all of their new models of cars because they were exploding and killing people, right?
Phew. Mhm.
So yeah, I mean that's a pretty, you know, that is a pretty terrible result. It's amazing that that didn't destroy the brand, basically, because
Mhm.
that's a pretty horrible story. So that the fact that the brand is still has a positive name is more a result of history than anything else. Um, so empowering people around about you.
Mhm.
Um, it's important. It's something that we sometimes forget to do because we're so focused on our own work and the things that we have to do ourselves that we forget that if the people around about us are empowered, then hopefully that reflects back as well if we're surrounded by the right kind of people. And this will mean different things to different people, and it will be unclear at certain times whether people understand it, agree with it, like it, appreciate it. In my experience, and this is just my experience, and I know that other people have different experience, direct attempts to influence other people often backfire. Yeah,
Direct.
direct attempts to influence other people. So I found this is interesting. It might work for you as a piece of
Uh-huh.
information. Yeah,
Mhm.
I tend to find that people are mildly resistant to information presented to them by other people unless they're looking for influence. And the potential negative here is that they're not taking on any of the responsibility for the situation.
Mhm.
It's like I got this from them, and if this doesn't work, it's their fault. So there's no personal responsibility there. Um, and how do you get around that? It's very complex within society, within the human mindset. Either we have to inform, educate, or entertain, really, in order to see someone or something change, develop, or grow. So, that is providing information when a person needs it. That is providing an environment that's educational where things happen that show people the way. Or it's through entertainment. Through fun, we have some personal development or some gain. It might be team sports, it might be watching a film. Getting people together to solve problems and have fun is nice. I always resented that a little bit personally because it was usually, if somebody asked me to do that, it was usually in my own time. I usually had to give up a day or part of a weekend or something. And I'm like, well, no, because that you want more of my time. You want more of my time for your problem. That doesn't sit well in my head. Yeah. It just doesn't. It doesn't work for. It works for people who don't have their own life, right? I was always like, I've got my own things that I want to do in my own time, and I don't have enough time to do that as it is. And you want me to have less of that time, and you want me to be happy about that. That doesn't work for me. I can see how that works for people who've got no life, right? Yeah, and it's unhealthy. You don't want employees who live to work because they won't bring anything external into the workplace. And in that context, what I mean is they won't bring value from their own lives into the workplace. And we need that because that's what makes life interesting. Work is in general dull, repetitive, boring. That's why we have to pay people for it. If it was exciting, people would do it for free. Yeah, that's most jobs involve repetition of the same activity over and over again, which is borderline madness. Which is why we have to punctuate it with other things to keep the flow, to make it interesting, or to keep the mind alive. I will never forget when I was a student working in a cafe bar and getting the orders wrong, even though they were simple. Because
you got the orders wrong.
I got the orders wrong, and I regularly got them wrong. And it wasn't because I was stupid. It was because
you had so many already that you couldn't.
Well, no, it wasn't that. It was the work was just dull and repetitive. And I was like, the work for me was just like sleeping. Yeah. It's like, and that's partly because that's not as much a fault of the work as I didn't put myself into it like 110%. Yeah. I sort of didn't want to do it that much anyway, and I think that if you put yourself fully into it and become invested in the clients and customers, then you can make something out of it. But I was never that invested because always in the back of my mind was I'm not getting the benefit of my work here. The company is getting all the benefit, and I'm not really doing it because it wasn't giving me enough money basically to. It was giving me enough money to survive, but not to do anything because I would work and not have. I'd work all week and pay my bills and not have enough money to go out at the weekend. And so it was, it was one of those. You have to get it. You have to get out of it as fast as possible because there's no future in that world. And so my brain was always somewhere else. My brain was always, how am I going to get out of this, rather than how can I do this job as well. And people thought I was stupid because I would make mistakes. It's like, no, I'm just not here because I don't want to be here, because I'm not into it. And so that was interesting. But it was also understanding that the the dull, repetitive, boring nature of work is, that you're gonna go into work and meet the same people on Tuesday that you did on Monday. In general, and you're going to have the similar kinds of conversations. You're going to deal with similar kinds of problems. You're going to be stuck with people who are not progressing, and it's going to be frustrating because they're just going to have this. You're going to have the same conversation again and again with these people, and eventually, you either have to stop talking to these people or you lose your mind. Because you can't continually have the same conversation with people.
Yeah.
You can't. You have to. Everything must move.
Move on. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's look at the universe. The whole universe is moving.
Expanding slowly.
It's moving. It's moving. Yeah. Because if it doesn't move, it's dead. And so in life, that is a requirement. A relationship that doesn't move forward is dead. Like a life that's not specifically going somewhere doesn't have the meaning that it should. So, what was the point? The point was about work and empowerment of people and inform, educate, entertain. That is usually the best way to influence people, or to control the environment in some kind of